Hey guys, got another project. This time I'm going to put a set of brakes on my wife's Taurus. The only difference is these brakes are a set of performance brakes, which I think is worth covering. The reason I'm doing this is I keep having problems with the rotors warping on the car, and it could be the fact that it's just a Ford Taurus and maybe the brakes are substandard, not really good enough for the car. I think one of the issues I'm running into is all these aftermarket rotors that you buy, the quality of the metal is not as good as the original, so they're not holding up to the heat and the abuse, so they just have a tendency to warp up a little too easy. So I'm going to take a chance on a high performance set of rotors and brake pads that I think are worth covering. This kit I actually got off of Amazon, so you basically get two rotors with the pads. And it's made by Evolution Sport. That's kind of the information I got on it. Dollar amount, they used to run somewhere in the $150-ish for two rotors and pads, which really is not bad if you think about what you're getting. These are the brake pads. Supposed to be specifically for these rotors. Get new hardware to go with brakes, as well as a nice looking set of brake pads. And here are the rotors. Get these out of here. They are pretty heavy. They're actually got I believe these are for cleaning out, and the holes are for venting the rotor to keep the heat down so they don't warp as easy. My hope is that these are made of good quality steel, so I don't have to worry about warping up. Because the old saying, if happy wife, happy life, that is so true. If she'll be happy with her brakes, I can sleep at night. So I'm going to take a shot, put these on, take you guys along for the ride. Right on my car, it takes a 12mm for the caliper bolts. So go ahead and take those out. Now I've had these for years, and they're actually old metal hangers for exhaust pipes in an exhaust shop that I used to work at years ago. I just take those guys, since we did a lot of brake jobs and stuff, just hook them with the hanger, and then in this case I'll hang it on the strut right above the brake rotor to get the caliper up out the way. Now you'll notice that my brake pads are in pretty good shape. They weren't replaced too long ago, and I'm just frustrated with the whole situation, so I decided I don't care. Now my bridge bolts are on this guy are 15mm.
Daddy?
Yeah, bud.
What is this? Is this mine or yours?
That's yours.
Oh, what is it for?
It's for making slinky noises just like you're doing.
Yeah, and for sand?
Yep, and for sand if you want to put sand in it.
Yeah, then you shake it out?
Yep, and then you shake it out.
And a shovel?
And the shovel, yes.
Or maybe a bucket.
Yep, you can put it in a bucket.
Like a big bucket or little bucket?
Yeah, that's right. That's the big box.
Yeah.
Oops. And then you let the caliper fall on the floor. Or the bridge, that is.
Yeah, then, but we need to cut a hole. Or I can dig.
One thing you do need to make note of on these guys is they are directional, so you do have a front passenger side and a driver's side, and they're labeled, so you won't make that mistake, but we'll definitely pay attention to that. Now, depending on what type of brake, well, I guess if you got a Ford Taurus, you got a Ford Taurus. I'm not sure about the later models, but if you got a single piston caliper like the one I got, you can usually get them in with a big set of channel locks, but you kind of have to do it a little bit on one side than the other, because if the caliper piston gets a little bit sideways, it'll jam or want to kind of hang up. So you want to make sure you take your time to compress it in. Looks like they sent me some new rubber bushings to go on the hub here. You also want to make sure you got good movement on these slide pins as well. Mine are good. Once you get your bridge cleaned up good, I usually put a my little lug nut with a larger washer on there as a spacer to tighten this up to hold the rotor on in position, so I don't have to worry about it flopping around and fighting with it while I'm trying to put everything together. I think that's always a good idea. Doggone it. If at first you don't succeed, start with the top one. There we go. Now, I don't have the torque specs for these bridge bolts, but I just say make sure they're good and tight. Don't take my word on that. It's totally up to you how tight you make them. I'd recommend you find out what your torque specifications are so that you make sure you have them plenty tight, if you have a torque wrench, that is. Me, I'm just gonna wing it, I reckon. I've done enough brakes in my lifetime to know when it's tight and when it's not. Now, the next thing I like to do is the lube that came with the kit. Honestly, I don't feel like it's enough. And they don't tell you to do this, but I've been doing this for years. I always put good old anti-seize. Stuff will last you forever. I don't know how long I've had this little bucket of it, but make sure you don't get it on the rotors themselves. Put a good little bit anywhere you've got contact between the pads and the bridge. And for this particular car, these brake pads really don't matter inside and out. They're the same. And there's no brake wear indicator on these pads, so it doesn't really matter. There is one other thing you do need to be aware of, and you may be able to read this on the video if you pause it, but it does come with the brake pads themselves. It tells you about a break-in period or a break-in process that you need to go about. Explains to you why you need to do it, how it works, and all that good stuff. So definitely I will do this when I get the car back on the ground and go out. Make sure I do it the way they say to do it, so I haven't wasted my money on buying a fancy set of brake rotors and pads. Thanks for watching, guys. That pretty much wraps up this install. Hope you learned a little something. And only time will tell if the money was worth it and if these rotors do actually make a difference. We shall see. Hey guys. Well, I started not to do this video because this happened. Yep. Somebody decided to make my car a little bit shorter. It's probably a little bit flatter by now too, but you know, hey, what you gonna do? We did drive the car for about 3 to 4 months prior to the wreck, and they did not warp up. She did say she felt like she had stronger brakes than before. So I would say for the time period that we did have the car, the brakes worked pretty good. So if you want my opinion, are the power stop brake kits worth it? Yeah, I think so. I'd probably buy another set and put them on a car, especially if I was having issues with the brakes. So anyway, I appreciate you watching, and you guys have a good night.